What's up, Beer League hockey fans and fellow dumpers? Welcome to another unedited, unfiltered Dump and Skate podcast, the number one hockey podcast in the Bluffton, Hilton Head, and Pooler, Georgia area, and recently researched Guyton, Georgia. Where if you're still bitching about my mic, then you're not a loyal listener and probably hear a beeping sound when you skate backwards. Don't email me, Dwight. It's my podcast. I'm the podcast scheduler, social media content creator, official video editor, the broken, old, and decrepit Bender, the ball buster, Jeremy. I have no shame in admitting that I watch Jersey Shore, Orange County Housewives, Teen Mom, Catfish, and Below Deck Abdu. With me, as always, the man that makes this podcast possible, one with the noise in the background, if you just heard that, the only producer that doesn't do any editing because Abdu is earning our free paycheck. The, as Dane worded it, talent of the podcast. The guy I have to occasionally nag to upload this podcast for you, the fans. The very hardworking family man, Jeremy, where I call you just to say, hey, let me call you back, Holland. Sorry, that was a long one. But
it was, and your mic cut out. So I just want to clarify what you identified yourself as this time was a guy that watches Below
I'll go
Deck,
back to it.
Real
Here.
Housewives, Jersey
Jeremy,
Shore.
where I have
just read the
no
list.
shame.
You go ahead.
Where I have no shame watching Jersey Shore, Orange County Housewives, Teen Mom, Catfish, and Below Deck, just to name a few.
That's going to say the list is a lot longer.
Oh, it's a long
the
list.
The intro can't be 7 minutes long, naming all of the female shows that you listen to. Yeah,
Yes.
It's comical that our guest today and my wife both are like, "Oh, Jeremy Abdu watches the same shows I do."
We have our Orange County. We have our Orange County Housewives chat.
Yeah, that's perfect. So
Maybe you're the weird one for not watching it. Yeah.
nope, don't think so.
Jesus jugs.
What is
Jesus jugs?
Jeez. All right. What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all shapes, sizes, and flavors? Welcome in to your favorite beer league podcast, the Dump and Skate podcast. We are excited to have you guys back today. Before we get any farther, talking about the TV shows that Abdu and my wife watch, make sure you go like, subscribe, thumbs up, follow, all of that stuff. Follow us on YouTube. Oh gosh, I just blanked. Spotify, Apple Podcasts. I don't know why my brain just did that.
YouTube.
Yeah.
We have a TikTok.
We have a TikTok.
It's so weird using
Instagram,
TikTok.
Facebook, all of it. Yeah. Well, I feel like you're getting more and more comfortable with it, but yeah.
I don't know. I just still feel weird using it.
Yeah, I mean, you can say that because we're recording, but it doesn't feel like you say those things separately.
Okay, I'll say it off
This
mic
is
just to make it.
This is my favorite app. I love it so much.
Hey, I just bought 10 things off of TikTok.
Do you know how many times packages show up at my house because my wife is like, I saw this thing on TikTok. I'm like,
Oh no,
stop.
I couldn't do it.
Like,
No way.
quit. It's just the worst thing ever. Quit. Oh man. So, well, and I do, because of the nature of my job, I'm a general contractor, there are millions of times where I get a phone call from you or call you and then go, hey, I got to call you back. Somebody else is calling me. In fact, scheduling the podcast today, you messaged the group, got responses from you and the guest, and then called me and were like, hey, are you going to send something in the group chat? I was like, yeah, it's a really busy day. Give me like another minute or two. And at the end of the day, you messaged me again. And you were like, hey, you going to update us? And I was like, I'm very, very sorry.
I'm sure our
It
guest was kind of wanting to know what's up. Like,
I know.
hey, I'll
I'm
tell you.
really,
I'll tell you in
really
a few
sorry about
minutes.
that.
When I'm done with this, I'll tell you in a few minutes. In case you guys don't know, Holland
Later.
runs on Holland time, like a couple minutes, or I'll be there. The only time he shows up on time is for hockey. Honestly,
That's like, and that's even a stretch sometimes.
yeah.
Like that's even is like, I like to be there way early, and there are times where I roll in not early.
There's been so many times. Hey, what's going on? Hey, got to call you back. Sorry. Hey, it's me. Oh man, I'm really sorry, Abdu. I got to call you back. Or I go, hey, oh man, you're not gonna believe this. Bye. It happens all the time. I can't believe that many people actually want to talk to you.
I don't want to necessarily talk to all of them that call me. That's part of the problem, but I have to. So anyways, Oh man. All right. Well, we have a very special guest. We don't want to keep her waiting much longer. Abdi, you have I'm sure, a wonderful intro for this guest, correct?
This one's going to be a good one. It's not going to be.
Is it going to be a 6 minute long intro, or is it going to be like a pretty concise one?
Uh, Look, I have.
All right.
There's
go
a
ahead.
lot to say about this person. I can't
Let's
say
get-
enough
let's
about
get
this
it.
person.
Let's
All right,
get it.
ladies and gentlemen, I am so happy and excited to introduce this next guest. Her and her family are family to me. I honestly can't say enough about her or her family, and that's the legit God's honest truth. She is the epitome of one of her son's favorite quotes. Trust the process. She has completed, I think, 2, maybe 3 phases of the 75 hard, and her transformation is amazing. She is married to 18, going on his 19th season as an NHL referee, Steve Kozari, who has refereed 5 Stanley Cup finals and over 1,000 games. Her oldest son is an AHL referee, and her youngest just signed on as a USHL referee. If you listen to the Dane podcast, you guys know who I'm talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, I wholeheartedly am proud to introduce to you my very good friend, hockey mom, and referee mom, Dee, the queen of hosting, Kozari.
Hello.
What's up, Dee?
That
How
was
are
very
you?
nice. Oh, a little tear for that, Jeremy.
Wait, I have
The
a
queen of
question.
hosting.
There we go. I have a question. That was like everything else I understood except for the queen of hosting. What's that about?
Dee
Hosting.
loves.
Oh, I like to host parties.
She loves to
and
host parties.
have
She
people
lives.
over and used to cook for the
She-
kids. Us moms always took turns hosting for the boys' hockey clubs, dinner, pregame dinners, and whatever they needed.
She would even invite me over for the hockey parties. More often than not, as I was leaving the Chicago area, I took her up on it a lot more. I felt a little weird because I don't have any kids that play the Wabanzi hockey. And then finally, I'm like, I'm just coming over, talk to some of the parents. I went over, and the whole garage was just filled of varsity hockey guys. And then inside were all the parents, and it was just a nice steak waiting for me. Yeah, she hosts. She lives in a party capital of the world right now, and she has people come over and visit all the time. So she loves hosting. I don't know if she loves it, but she always takes care of you. She always takes care
Say
of
she
you.
does it all the time. She's got to love it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do.
So welcome to the podcast, Dee.
Thank you for having me.
And
Absolutely.
what was I right? You've completed 2 to 3 of the 75 hard.
So there's a whole Live Hard program. I've done 75 days. I did phase 1 and phase 2 last year, and then I'm just starting again. Well, not starting. I'm almost done 75 again for this season.
Okay.
Yeah.
For those of you guys that don't know what the 75 hard is, it is 75 days, right, of clean eating while reading a book, no alcohol, 2-a-day workouts. One of them has to be outside. Am I missing anything else?
Take a progress picture, drink a gallon of water a day.
Mhm.
If you miss any of those tasks, you fail and go back to day 1.
Yeah, and your transformation is amazing. And I have another question for you.
Thank you.
That makes me nervous.
Well, don't be
Day 1,
nervous.
go. What the fuck, go.
No. No, I mean the failing part. Like if I would be on like
Oh,
day
yeah.
77, like 72, and be like, oh man, I didn't finish the gallon of water. Start
Even
over.
last year, funny story, he almost failed on day 75.
Oh, really?
Yeah. When was that? October last year. So it was a regular season game. We were in Vegas. He did the game. So that's his indoor workout. That can count. We walked in the morning, and it is 11:45. So 15 minutes before the day's done. And he goes onto the app and he looks and he's like, oh, I didn't take my photo. And so him and a bunch of friends ran into the bathroom, stripped his shirt off, took a picture in the mirror. Then he can click that it's done. He already
Wow.
had his, what was it, a rum and Coke or whatever the fuck he drinks, Captain and Coke, queued up at the bar for midnight. There's no alcohol. So that's another task or a qualification is there's no alcohol. So no drinking. Your gallon of water, no cheat meals, follow a diet plan, your photo and your 10 pages of inspirational self-help or entrepreneurial book.
I have another question for you.
Yeah.
We ask all of our guests this. I don't know if Holland is ready for this, but
I'm a little prepared.
do you pee in the shower?
Yes.
That was an emphatic, like you were excited
Yeah,
about
I do.
answering that. Do you know, D, are you aware of who on this current podcast thinks that peeing in the shower makes you an animal?
No. Is it animalistic?
I do
that
not.
guy right next to
I
me.
do not.
Yeah.
I do
Yes,
not
you
pee in the
did.
shower.
Yes, you did. You said we were all animals that
No,
pee
no,
in the
no. I
shower.
said I do not pee in the shower, but I think you guys are all animals for
Correct.
peeing in the shower.
Correct.
It takes.
You know why I pee in the shower? Because I got peed on in the shower. And so
I didn't know you were into that, D.
well, I'm not, but I'm not gonna fucking lose at it either. So I'm in. Let's go.
I'm competitive.
I am very competitive.
This is hands down the best why you pee in the shower answer we've had so far. Hands down. That's
I
incredible.
do not. I think it takes very little effort to just hop out of the shower or even just go to the bathroom before you get in the shower. I just don't. I don't know. It's
just going down the drain.
This
I'm
question
saving
started.
water by flushing. We live in Vegas. I got to save water. I'm helping the
Oh
environment.
yeah. Water is.
It's scarce around here.
I love that you get flamed every time you try to come up with like a good excuse, and our guests are like, "Hey, man, that's a really stupid thing. Like, just pee in the shower." What is the big
I
deal?"
guess I'm the idiot.
We had a couple of club college guys on a few weeks back, and one of the guys was talking about like, yeah, you back up and you try to pee as far as you can down the drain and stuff. And I was like, this kid gets it. And Abdu's like, that's the most disgusting thing. I'm like, it's going down the drain.
No lie, everybody. I tried it. I got stage fright and I couldn't even pee.
In
Couldn't
your
even
own
do it.
shower by yourself.
I couldn't even do it. I'm like, come on. I even tried to drink a gallon of water first, and I just wouldn't.
You don't even have to drink the gallon of water. Drink the water coming out of the shower head and then pee that back out.
You know what?
Then you're
South
really not
Carolina,
wasting
Bluffton. You don't want to drink the Bluffton water down here. I'm gonna get like an arm growing out of my head or something
your
like
ear.
that.
Why do I have 3 ears now? Oh man.
So
Good answer, D. That was great. That was phenomenal.
You're welcome.
So good. Oh man. Well, I'm really interested, D, to hear a little bit about you guys' background. Obviously, Abdu gave a great introduction. You've got your husband and 2 boys that are all currently refereeing at various levels. But obviously, they didn't all start out doing that sort of thing. And so, as much as you can tell us a little bit of background about your family and kind of how you guys ended up where you're at.
You know, I can even go back a little bit farther that I grew up in the rink as a hockey sister, not that hockey sister, but a good hockey sister, where I would cheer for my brothers. Every other year they played on the same team. They're only 20 months apart. And so I grew up going to tournaments and watching them and around the sport in Canada and British Columbia. And that's where I met Stephen, was in high school at my brother's game. He was officiating it. So I was up in the stands sitting with another classmate, and we were talking about the fall dance coming up because we had just moved from Prince Rupert, British Columbia, down to the Okanagan. And I needed a date for the dance. So being proactive as I am, I was asking my classmate if he knew anyone. So he points out to the officials out on the ice. I was in grade 11, Stephen in grade 12, so we were 16 and 17. And he goes, well, that guy, his dad's a lawyer. He drives a white Datsun, and he's our age. And I said, okay. And then he's like, the other guy drives a Jeep. He lives up by you, and he's a year older. And I'm like, yeah, that works. That works. So I gave him my phone number on a little scratch piece of paper I bought for my mom in her purse. And my friend Jeremy actually went down to the dressing room in the first intermission and gave Stephen the note. And he promptly came up with Stephen's phone number. And he told me that he would like me to call him. So I sent him back down the second intermission. I said, no, I'm not calling. He can call me if he wants to pursue this. So that's what he did. He took a couple days. I think he wrote down every question because it was as if he was reading it. And we had a conversation. It started off with him and his buddy because he obviously couldn't do it by himself. And they were playing.
To this day, he still can't do stuff alone. He has a partner. He has a partner on the ice.
Yeah, they were playing "Smoke on the Water" on the guitar. I had not been that musically inclined in our household, so I knew it was a guitar. And what he was playing, I still don't think he actually got the whole song down. Anyways, he asked me, where did you move from? Obviously, he wrote down everything. It was very cute. And the next day he picked me up from school, and 34 years later, I haven't shaken him since. I tried.
Did he ask you, did he write down what was one of his questions? Do you pee in the shower?
No, but was it soon after that?
Oh man, that's funny. That's like, I can't imagine going to the game and being like, no, I'm going to go date the ref. Like,
yeah. Well, I like to keep my options open. He was making money. He wasn't just out there playing for fun. So
that's awesome.
And it worked. And he had a really cool Jeep. Jeep, was it CJ something?
CJ7 or CJ5?
I needed to ride to school. I was walking. I didn't know he was actually watching me walk to school every day. It's like creeper. And so I walked for almost a month.
So he was always constantly watching people around like he's a referee, whether he's on the ice or off the ice.
Can't shake the habit.
No. So anyways, that's kind of how we met at the rink. I wanted to actually get married at that rink, but they were doing renovations at the time. And we got married in the Big Blue Church in Penticton. Shout out. I think they're actually ripping it down this year. It's that old. Oh. And the boys, Jackson, I think, was 2.5, and he started on bob skates, which are a 2-bladed little skate you strap to their winter boot. And
Holland, you could use those. Holland can wear those
on the lake, and then we'd take him to the rinks, and any free time we had, he started skating at about 2.5, 3, and then Nate came along. So they've always been skating as soon as they could run, practically. And the hockey, they started in Penticton Minor Hockey in British Columbia. It was $350 to sign up for the season.
Wow.
And by the time we had moved, when they were 7 and 9, to Chicago, when Steve got hired by the NHL, we moved out to Naperville. And it was $3,500. So it was a big jump. And I would make them understand how much money that was, and that they were very lucky that this is what their dad did, or else these boys would not be playing here.
You're lucky your parents love you.
You're lucky your dad does what he does. So
we had that conversation
a lot
in
of
our
money
house this
times
week.
2, and then travel and all the expenses, the hotels and gas and tolls and like all the little things that you don't consider, but you had to. So I was stretched very thin, being the only parent in the house because Steven's gone all winter. So I would literally have to give the boys, introduce them. I'd introduce myself every year in the dressing room that this is what my husband does. He's never around. You might see him occasionally, but I'm going to need help at practices, tournaments, because the chances of them having things at the same time was very likely. And they would go to with the Joneses or whatever, and Nate would look up at me and say, "Who's going to cheer for me?" And I would say, "The Joneses are going to cheer for you." And he'd be like, "Okay." Because in Penticton, he was used to both sets of grandparents, his aunts and uncles, and both of us. And so big change for them when we moved to Naperville, but we got through it. And they're pretty good kids. And then officiating, Steven started when he was 12. So that kind of seemed like the magic number for the boys as well. So when they were 12, they got into the program and wrote their first test or whatever they have to do to get in, got their certificate and their little crest, and got them a jersey. And they've both been officiating since they were 12, just for some extra money. It's great money. Their friends in high school were working 4 shifts at Jersey Mike's when they could work 2 games in a weekend and make just as much in 16 hours as their friends were all week.
Huh.
Yeah.
Can we talk about what Steve did before he got to be an NHL referee, or is that?
Steven did a lot of things.
Yeah.
When I first met him, what was he doing? Renting jet skis at the Penticton Marina.
Really?
He was a tow truck driver for BC AA. It's like AAA here. He worked at a electrical supply company. That was shit money. We had our first house when we were 19 and 20. I was a dental assistant by 19. So with Steven's mom's help, we had a down payment and bought our first home, would rent the basement to our friends so we could make money. We'd eat 4 nights a week at his grandma's, his other grandma's, my parents and his parents. Other than that, it was mac and cheese and hot dogs. And,
Glizzies.
he got let go in just before Christmas one year. We were already married and pregnant by this time. And so he decided to go down to the coast in Vancouver and take at the Justice Institute his sheriff's program. So then he became a sheriff. And we had Jackson at this point. So Jackson was like 5 weeks old when he moved away until he was 5 months. And so he would come back because he was also still officiating BC Junior and I think a little bit of the Western League then. And so he would come back once a month really and look into the crib and see this growing baby exponentially each time he came home until Jackson was about 5 months old. And then we got to be a family again. And we're based out of Kelowna as a sheriff. No, Kamloops. We moved to Kamloops, British Columbia, where he was worked as a sheriff and also officiated, like refereed, the Western Hockey League out of Kamloops, BC.
Huh. All right.
Yeah.
So
we did that.
For the people listening, Steve actually just started just like anyone else doing it like little kids hockey, and he worked his way up.
And I think the moral of the story here is if you go referee as a high school kid, you could probably meet your wife in the stands. Like the rest of the stuff
if she's
is great.
Proactive. I don't think that fucker would ever ask me. He wouldn't have been that one.
When you laid down the ultimatum of like, no, I'm not calling, you have to call, he did react to that and did. So he gets some credit there.
When push comes to shove, that's usually how things work in this relationship. Yeah.
So he worked his way up from
so he started, you saw him and he was refereeing high school games when you guys first met?
Just Penticton minor hockey. Like my brothers were in I think it was like a AA at that time.
Okay.
Travel program. Yeah.
And so
it was a home game.
Yeah. So what did his movement through referee ranks? I don't know if that's the right terminology.
Yeah.
What did
So I guess the minor hockey, and then he did BCHL, which would have been juniors. And then from that, WHL. And then he did a big tournament, the Memorial Cup in Quebec. I think that was 2003.
Was that his big
and that's big where
move?
He got seen.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, he was getting watched in the Western Hockey League, and then he got noticed and did a finals game. I flew out to watch that. That's the only time I've ever been to Quebec, and watched him out there, and he did the Memorial Cup game, and then they hired him out of that to do the American Hockey League.
Yeah, so he went from that was the Worlds, right?
No, Worlds. American.
Oh no.
Hockey. That was the Western Hockey League.
Western Hockey.
I think CHL, Canadian.
Okay,
Hockey League.
and then he went to the AHL. How long was he in the AHL?
4 years.
4 years. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know how many years he worked in I think it was 4 years. Yeah. And I think he quit being a sheriff then.
Okay. And then
he had to give up his 9mm gun. He likes to say that he used to have a gun. Yeah.
Wait, hang on, back up. I missed something there. You said he had to give up his gun when he went to go work for one of the different leagues?
It was like province issued. There's a dog on the counter.
I got you. I was going to say the dog's on the counter.
at least it's not taking a duty on the counter.
No.
Trust me, we're
Is
a
that
very
Georgia?
dog-friendly
Is that
show.
Georgia or is that Oliver?
That was Oliver, the old guy. He's 12 now.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
he got up on the counter. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
for an
it
old
can't
guy.
be that old.
He has tricks. Yeah.
So then he did 4 years in the A, and then that's when he, after that, he went right to the NHL. Now, when he went to the NHL, is that when you guys were, and I'm just say stationed, but is that when you guys ended up moving right to Chicago? Like he didn't.
I think he did 2 years just American League, 2 years up and down, like that 40-40 program, or he does some games in NHL. And then after his 4th year, he got hired. They let us stay in Penticton for 1 year. And then the next year we moved to Naperville.
Yeah. So did they give you a choice?
Yeah, I was going to say, what prompted the move?
That's another sore subject.
Oh, all right.
But the guy that he went in with that got hired as well. I won't mention names because maybe he'll listen to this. Or his wife. And but you know what? That'd be fun to have other wives on sometime.
Would you want to do that? Like have a girl chat? We could talk Orange County Housewives.
Probably get in trouble though. Anyways, I'll ask around.
All right, that would be great.
I could think of. Anyways, I can't say it. The other guy went in, and because his name was alphabetically before Stevens, he got to have a choice of Chicago or I can't say this other place. And then we got the leftover. Steven went in second because of Kozari, and we ended up getting Chicago, which I love. Chicago was a great choice.
Hey, that was fate. That was fate.
We would not have met you.
You would not have met me. And I know you're still really good friends with a lot of people. Like you said, the Dreyfuses, the Reals, the Crows, and all them. You're really still good friends with them. So,
absolutely.
Look, had that not happened, you would not have met a better core group of people. I promise you that. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So, Holland, did you have something to say? I'm sorry, I kind of cut you off.
No, I was interested. It was I got to be careful the verbiage I'm using here. So it was a move that the NHL was requesting you guys make to move from one place to the other. Is there a reason behind that exists?
I think there wasn't anyone based out of the Midwest.
I gotcha. So it's a location
Chicago
thing.
area, so they had us move there. Yeah,
I got you. So it's a location thing.
One in each big city.
There you go. All right. So like a proximity to teams and things like that.
Yeah, and just in case like there's a snowstorm and he happens to be sitting at home, he can like just go to the rink versus, or they can trade routes last minute day of if something like, again, weather permitting, flights or illness or injury.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Have them all scattered around. Yeah.
So then how many years were you guys in Chicago?
11 seasons.
11 years. Yeah. 11 seasons to him working. And so when he's working, he's gone from when to when? Roughly.
Monthly, like for the month, he is gone.
Yeah.
Training camps in September. Oh, I'm getting notes. Training camps in September. And, well, it depends how good he is. Some years he's been cut in April, and other years he went to June 24th this year.
There you go. Yeah.
Game 7.
Well, you mentioned that a lot of the boys' travel programs and stuff like that coming up, you were having to shoulder a lot of that burden because of the demands of his job, having to be gone and having to go and on the road. Was it a constant thing where he was gone for long stretches, or was it something where he was gone and they could come back for a little bit, or it was sporadic and hard to plan a calendar by? What was it like for you, I guess?
There's no planning. So towards the end, we got our citizenship. So I actually was working back at a dental office, because that's what I did full time before we moved to the US. And I had to give that up to move to Illinois. And in Illinois, it was just difficult to even get a driver's license because you need a social. And I couldn't get a social because we were there on Stevens' special. It was like an actor visa. It was
wouldn't it be like a work, like a
sports?
Sports visa.
Special visa for this one purpose.
Yeah.
And so for a bunch of years, I would have to go into the city to take a driver's test, which I was freaked out by. I was 34 at the time, and I had to take a test again. And it's not like I came from fucking, I don't know, somewhere Canada driving a goat. I drove a car on the same side of the road. It's just kilometers versus miles. That's the only difference. And I had to take a test again. So I passed. And then I legit had an Illinois driver's license that was only good for 1 year. And it was called an international driver's license. So I don't know if things have changed now, if there's any wives that have moved there and had this issue, but in other states, it wasn't as sticky. So not everyone had to go through this. This was just my issue, because we were the only NHL official in Illinois. And I had 2 boys to drive around to all the different states in travel hockey. And so I wanted to have, like, my dad was a Royal Canadian Mounted Police. I wanted to have the right license. Like, I wanted to do things the right way. So it was tough for me to get my mind around going and having to do this for myself, because I was doing it really for him, because we moved there and had to do all this for him. But it all worth it, and all worked out in the end. Did I answer the question?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I do want to know, are there towns in Canada where you get goat driver's license?
No. Dog sled.
Okay.
Dog sled.
Dog sled driver. You can get a dog sled driver's license?
Yeah, I think so.
Nice.
Really? You can't just hop on one, and you have to actually have a license?
You have to have a dog sled driver's license.
You got to live in an igloo too.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding.
I was gonna say what? You had me. You had me.
I want to see the
I
goat
don't know
drivers
anything
racing
about
this.
Canada. I'm like, it's pretty much the same people.
Yeah.
It is.
All right, so you got two boys that ref as well.
Yeah.
And so you said they kind of started doing the same thing, that your husband started doing it when he was 12 years old. And so the boys both hit 12 years old. How far apart are the boys in age?
They're 2 years and 4 months.
Okay.
So just 2 years.
So a couple years apart, but they both basically started right at 12 years old. Have they followed the same sort of trajectory that Steve did, where at least they're attempting to follow the same kind of steps?
They're actually taking their own paths. Nate, our first Jackson, he's the oldest one. He's going to be 26 in November. He did, where was he living? He did some I don't know what he did. Junior, like he obviously did minor hockey, and then he was doing, I don't know what the league was. Anyways, then he got into the Western Hockey League. And so he was living and going to college up in Ellensburg, Washington. So that's the league Steven was doing. And may I say, he's getting, except for this year, he actually got a little bump up, the same game rate Steven was 30 years ago, 25 years ago, the same rate.
Good grief.
The same game pay.
Good
because
grief.
he's not considered full-time there. And then he also does the American League. So kind of, sort of, he's doing the same route Steven did. And Nate obviously did minor hockey in Illinois. And then he came out here and was doing some stuff in Nevada. And then he ended up going, I think, to a camp or recommended by something in California. And he ended up moving out to his first season with the NAHL in Des Moines, Iowa, and then Minnesota. No, Minnesota was the first year, then Des Moines, Iowa last year. And then this year he got hired by the USHL, but he's still doing a little bit of NA, and he's living in Berwyn. There's a house there in Berwyn, Illinois. So the league that Nate has, they have the guys have these league houses, and they put up the guys in the houses and paid pretty much the rent's paid for the season. And they're just based out of these houses all over the Midwest for the NA and USHL.
So it's almost like a fraternity house.
Yeah,
sure.
A lot of driving. Yeah. Nate has a lot of driving.
Are the boys exclusively refereeing now? Are they allowed to do other things other than that, or is that their primary job?
No, they are. Jackson's working at a golf course here in Vegas, and as a little side hustle. And Nate is working at Stick Bandits, actually.
Oh, nice. Yeah. For those of you guys that don't know, Stick Bandits, they do, I guess, like apparel, stick labels, stickers, and didn't he make? Because I always wanted to get one. I just looked it up the other day, actually. The Kozari. When he was in the refereeing, he yelled it. He was on mic. He said, "Don't fucking test me." Is that what he said? And it was caught on mic, and the Stick Bandits. The Stick Bandits
he made lots
shirt.
of fun stuff for Steven. For his 1000th game, for I don't know. He just made lots of fun stuff for him over the years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool. You can still get those shirts, right?
Yeah.
I looked
he has
up.
a Ref Gear site. And actually, I think Steven's face is on it.
Yeah. It's like, don't fucking test me. That was great.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I want to take a step backwards just for a second. Was Steve's aspiration always to make it to the NHL, or was refereeing something that just he kind of enjoyed doing and was happy to work through the ranks?
I think his childhood dream, not only to live on the lake, which we're going to be accomplishing that in the next year or two. We got property up in Washington. I think he was to be a player, and he always had this on the side, and he's a very practical, hardworking person. And when he kind of figured that wasn't going to work out for him in juniors, about 18 years old, 20 years old, he decided to go a little more full steam at it. And he did have all these other, like we spoke about, side jobs.
Sure.
But the ultimate dream was to be exactly where he is right now.
That's awesome. That's a good dream. Go ahead.
I was going to say, D, I'm going to just say this. I remember at my going away party that you showed up to, thank you again. You told my friends, and they pulled me aside, and they go, I had no idea. They said that Steve is only one of 82 people that can do his job. Is that correct? Of
Well, yeah,
referee?
there's 33 NHL refs, I think, unless I'm off a couple, and linesmen in the world at one time. I mean, there's lots of guys, great guys that have retired, but yeah, that's all there is.
So
it's harder to be a ref than I think it is a player.
Yep. Yeah. So
and to be a good one and to stay in it for this long.
And do 5 Stanley Cup finals, which
I was going to say, I really enjoy
guys
watching.
That have not gotten out of the second round.
Yeah,
out of the first round.
Abdu and I had a lot of great conversations watching Steve ref last year, especially in the finals and in the playoffs and the finals. It was a lot of fun seeing him. It's neat to know somebody or loosely know somebody that's out there. Like I said, I've never been one that watched a game and like, oh, look at that ref. That's cool. But after kind of getting to know you guys through Abdu, I've become a big Kozari fan. I've looked for the number patch and things like that when I'm watching games and stuff. So it's been pretty neat to be able to pull for him and to have a different. Again, I still watch hockey because I enjoy the game aspect of it, but I have an appreciation for what referees have to do, the difficulty in their job, the speed at which things are moving, how accurate they have to be in order for the game to continue to move at the pace it needs to move at. And so it's a lot of fun watching guys that are good at what they do, and Steve is definitely one of those guys.
Yeah.
So
well, thank you for your support and your words.
Yeah,
they're out there the entire game.
Oh yeah,
and they're not like the best player gets 20, 30 minutes a game.
Yeah,
so they're out there the entire time. And Nate, poor Nate, he is out. He's been doing 3-man. This is his first year at actually getting a partner. So he does the whole ice. That's how Steven worked too. Jackson, not so much, but Nate definitely has the 3-man covered. So that he's, I think, the best skater in the family.
When I went to my first game that he was reffing, it was obviously with the Blackhawks. I didn't pay much attention to the game. You kind of just watch him. It's really weird how it takes the focus off the game. And I would always ask him, like, there was one game right before he would always work a game like right before Christmas Eve, the game before Christmas Eve, and we would always go. I would say, hey, what were you saying to, Taze or Kane out on the ice or stuff like that? And to get his stories is always good. Do you have any good stories that you can share with us?
Yeah, let me think.
How about can you tell the thong story? You said you had one.
Oh, that really well, I took a break from I went out back home. Okay, this is a bad story, but
if you don't want to say it,
no, it's not that bad. I went back home to visit a hockey tournament actually, and Steven's friends were playing in it, and so some of the wives were there. So I went to the dinner dance part, and one of the guys on the team, I didn't know him that well actually. He was a friend of a friend. He split his dress pants. He was wearing a really tight, like, fun suit, and he split his pants, and he was wearing no ginch. And so I'm like, oh, he needs ginch. So I went into the bathroom and took off my thong and gave it to him. He thought it was the best thing. So he came out on the dance floor wearing this red lacy thong.
It was red? Is his name Grant by any chance?
No, Grant's wasn't lacy.
His name. I remember his last name. Anyways, funny story that someone just brought that up the other day.
That's awesome.
This summer when we were back visiting, that, I'm a generous person.
The hostess with the mostest. There she is, boys and girls.
Hey, Wilman, I told you might need to lose weight. Yeah, you're not going to have to lose. You're not going to fit into a large
thong story.
Oh, all right.
Oh my God.
Red thongs is the seems to be the color attire for dump and skate lately.
Apparently, yeah.
I'll send you the video when we're done.
I'll send you a video clip of what that's about.
Oh, okay. Let's see it.
So I know you said that Steve's kind of aspiration was to work his way up through that, and he's kind of achieved that. Do the boys have similar aspirations? Obviously, one of them sounds like, I think you said Nate's taken a little slightly different direction, but Jackson seems to be following a similar path to what his dad did. Do they have the same kind of aspirations to work it all the way up to the highest level, or are they just kind of happy doing what their dad did?
No, they definitely have aspirations to do that. They're working their way up and doing their games they get assigned and showing up at training camp in their best possible shape and taking the critique and implementing it into their games and doing what they can do. So it's just timing and yeah, putting in the time and the travel and, doing what they're told to do. So they're on the path. We'll see what happens.
Do they have a lot of conversations with their dad about?
They do. Steven watches every game they do. So if they're not being supervised, being told they're supervised, then they're not. Steven's always watching them. He always has notes, and he is always, as a dad and as a, one of the best referees, always giving them pointers, and they're very receptive to it.
That's awesome.
I think they've definitely honing in their craft of being one of the best, as well as in the levels that they're working through.
They're both in their 20s. Did I understand that right?
Yeah, Nate's 23 and Jackson's turning 26 here shortly.
Have they always been pretty receptive of Steve's advice and things? That question's coming from somewhere. So I am a contractor. It's not anything to do with being a referee, but I work with my father, and I found that when I probably hit my early 30s was when I kind of, maybe my late 20s, but I definitely remember my early 30s, that I had a tremendous amount more respect for my dad, his perspective, and especially since we worked together. But for a while we worked in the same field. We just didn't work together. But we would converse a lot about the job that we did. I found my dad, I had a lot of respect for my dad for a lot of different reasons, but specifically around what we did as a common work. But I also noticed that my dad had a lot of respect for me. And so that as I had input in things that I felt was valuable, as I had different experiences in that, again, construction industry that was maybe different than what my dad had, he listened. And so it was a very, we've had very, very constructive conversations. Like I said, since my 30s, it's really good to hear that your boys in their 20s can listen to their dad. I have two boys, an 18-year-old and a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
I have an 18-year-old and a 15-year-old that could not care less what I have to tell them right now. And I'm well aware, I remember being that age, but it's great that your boys are in their 20s and they seem to be, let's say this, are they seeking out that stuff from Steve where they call him and say, hey, I did this?
They do. They'll chat after the
awesome.
game. Steven will, sometimes he's watching the games live when he can, and he's not doing games himself or around his travel and flights. He's sending them notes and clips. And so after the games, they'll get back together and they'll go over the video. They'll explain why. He'll say, this is what I think, and they'll work through it. So yeah, they're receptive now. He wasn't around a lot when they were growing up. So really it was all on me. And so my feelings are a little hurt that they're, looking to their dad now for all this, but it's his time. I get it. And but I'm the one that did all that stuff at the beginning and hauled their asses, and they always did their own hockey bags, so that was good.
And one of them forgot to bring back their jersey.
We heard about.
Oh yeah, that was that story. Oh, I had another story. When we we used to be with the Sabre Hockey Club out of Naperville.
Yeah.
Or I don't know which town it was. I think it's Naperville.
It is Naperville.
And there's a Sabre prom they called every year, so it was a big dance. It was like, finally, the parents got to party, not just in a hotel room, but like a hall, and dress up nice. And I've taken my hairdresser. I've taken my one of my good girlfriends. Maybe he made one out of 11 years. He was never home. This is a good stat. His Marriott nights out of 20 years of being with the league totals over 12 years away in a Marriott. 12 entire years. So 365 days times 12. That's his nights in a Marriott since he's been working. And so he's never home. And so I think 1 year at 11, he got to come to the dance. Anyways, I can't remember what I was going with this. Hockey Sabre prom. Oh, so we did the prom thing. We took a cab home. I was super responsible. Nate had a hockey game in Crystal Lake the next morning. So that's like an hour and a bit, right, Jeremy?
Yeah.
That was like an hour and a bit. So the game was at freaking 6:30 on the Saturday morning or Sunday, whatever the night after the prom was.
How bad was it?
The lower level, I was just when they were younger, I was like, holy fuck, how are we going to get there? So anyways, I got them up. They were always raring and ready to go to play hockey. No, it doesn't matter. They would sleep in half their clothes. I always had breakfast ready to eat in the truck or whatever. I did the driving. So anyways, Nate, I said, get your shit in the car. The truck started. Grab your breakfast and wait for me. I'll be right there. And I was a little slow that morning, a little fuzzy. And so he loaded he got his bag out. I jumped in the truck, backed out, drove to Crystal Lake. It was about 45 minutes into the hour and a bit drive. I didn't fucking smell the gear. And I'm like, Nate, you got your gear, right? And we were in like the Suburban or whatever. And Jackson was at home sleeping. Anyways, and Nate's like, he turns around the back seat, like, he's gone. My gear's not there. And I'm like, I was pissed. And so I'm like, oh my God, what are we going to do? So I'm phoning Jackson and he wakes up. I'm like, go outside, look in the driveway. Where's the gear? No gear, no sticks, no gear. What? Then I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to call some of the parents whose grandparents of the kids usually show up. Maybe someone's coming that hour after because you got to show up an hour and something early. So it was fucking like 4:45 in the morning when we were leaving. I made a one.
Calling everybody at 5 a.m.
We don't have bags or the bag and sticks. We don't, obviously you can't even suit up. I got the kid, but nothing else. And so we show up at the rink. I couldn't get a hold of any grandparents that were coming up later that could swing by and get the gear. So we sat in the stands the night after Sabre prom and watched the game. I was pissed because that was his responsibility. He was pissed and they love to play. So, like they always love to play.
So where was the gear?
Where the heck was the
gear? We got home and Jackson said there was no gear. I ended up calling the police. The gear was stolen because he said I put the gear behind the truck. Now we have a backup camera. We have a sensor that would have went off. So within that 5-10 minutes that he was sitting in the running truck and put his gear behind
the freaking gear.
Who is up that early just waiting to steal a hockey
gear? Like Jackson already went through all that gear. The boys always shared gear, like not shared it, but it got passed down.
Yeah.
So you had to go out and buy all new head-to-toe stuff.
Yeah. First, we looked at like all the resale places and stuff because they used to get some expensive stuff through Stevens, yearly deposit of gear, and so like a helmet or whatever. And so, anyways. There's nothing at Plate Again. None of the stuff ever turned up.
Wow, I didn't know that.
We figured out it might have been like the newspaper chucker guy that throws a newspaper out in the curb. It's the only person that's ever out there that early in the morning.
So did you tackle him the next day or so?
No, I stood out there and just watched because I'm like, it's stinky ass gear. But
I got up at 5 a.m. just to watch.
Hey kid, come here.
All replaced. But yeah, that was one.
Wake the boys up and have them shoot pucks off the front porch at the newspaper guy.
Right.
Either that or like just wait for Nate to make his debut in the NHL and then just check eBay for his gear, see if it's on there.
Yeah, he was little then. Maybe I don't even know, 12. Little.
Oh, wow, that is crazy.
Grab his shit and put it in the truck. His fault for not putting it in the truck. I don't know why he put it behind the truck.
Can you tell us the story how you had to FedEx Steve's stuff that one time that got lost?
Yeah, that was
a couple years ago.
I think it was in the bubble.
Yeah.
When he was doing the finals in the bubble.
This is one of my favorite stories. Go ahead.
I can't remember what he needed, but he needed part of his gear. It didn't show up, so I had to FedEx it. And it was $400.
Yeah, like next day air, right? You had to do it next day air or something like that.
And nothing's next day going from US to Canada.
Right.
And so it never got there in time. And he ended up getting things replaced or
Didn't his gear show up? Didn't his gear show up before the stuff that you paid $400? Yeah. So you paid $400 to get it FedEx the next day. It never showed up, but his gear miraculously showed up that the airport lost.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Winter travel, it's not fun when you're getting stuck on flights or delayed or missing bags and stuff.
Does that happen to him often? Like lost gear?
It's happened over the years. Yeah, it's happened. Maybe not once a season, but there's a handful of times that it's happened for sure.
So one time happens?
I think he has, they got now in the last bunch of years, they have, they've compiled a bunch of stuff at every rink. So there is a certain jersey number that sits there.
And Steve's digging through the lost and found.
Yeah. I think the trainers and stuff are good enough that they can get things kind of last minute for them.
Yeah, and they have a good relationship with all the trainers. I
I
remember
would
him
hope
telling
so.
me.
Yeah.
So one thing you got to speed it
Wrap
up.
it up.
You got to go. You got to go.
He just got home from Vancouver, so he's
All good.
Okay.
he needs
All right.
me.
One quick question. Something we always talk about is the hockey community. How the sport is very, the family is very close knit and very tight. So when you were going through that time where you couldn't drive because you didn't have your license, did you find that like the people back home in Chicago, the parents really helped you out and opened you up with
yeah.
open arms to help you out?
Absolutely.
So then do you find that, should I say, that same camaraderie with some of the NHL referee wives, or is that more?
Not so much because we've never lived anywhere near anyone.
Okay.
So there was never
All right.
one in Illinois. There's no one in Vegas.
Okay.
So no. But every once in a while we'll get together, and when the guys have trips together or the finals, and we'll get to spend time or meet the families, and or the All-Stars when Stephen had the All-Stars here in Vegas.
Yeah.
I don't remember what year that was. We hosted a big party at the house and had games for the kids and did kind of like minute to win it stuff and had a nice sit down dinner, and it was a lot of fun. And yeah, it does create those memories and bonds and stuff where.
But back home, you
feel
did find like that hockey community, everyone embraced you, helped you out, stepped up. And that's something me and Holland always say, that we're, as fans of the sport and part of the hockey community, we always, that's something we're kind of proud of, just to.
Yeah, I do. That's one thing I really do miss about Naperville and being out there is all my hockey people. Because when I moved here, I had no kids in school. They didn't really live here. And so no one in sports. So there's no way to meet people when the boys aren't with you anymore. So yeah, I do
invite
miss
them over to the house.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Just
I
have
go
a
to
big
the dog
dinner
park
party and
meet
invite
people.
everybody over. Oh, the dog park.
I do go to the dog park and meet people there. I actually did meet a mom, and they're friends of ours now. And then we've gotten to meet a couple other people from them. And it was a funny story. We're at a rink out here in Henderson, in South Las Vegas here. And Nate was reffing. It was, I don't know, it's junior level. And Jackson was just waiting to fly out and do a game. Must have been Western League or maybe American League a couple years ago. And we were sitting in the bar area watching. We were having something to eat, watching Nate. And Jax kept on, "Oh, Nate. Oh, my God, Nate." Like being Nate's biggest critic. And super frustrated for whatever reason brothers are towards another. And I looked over and smiled at this mom, and she smiles back and she's like, "Oh, which one's yours?" And I said, "Oh, he's actually one of the officials." And she's like, "No way." And I said, "Which one's hers?" And she pointed out the kid, whatever number he was in jersey. And Jackson runs out there and yells at Nate over the glass. And I'm like, "Oh God." And she's like, don't worry. We're all big hockey family too. We had 3 boys that played, and this is our youngest. And my brother-in-law played in the NHL. And I'm like, "No way. That's what my husband referees." So we got, bonded through this conversation at a rink, and we still hang out to this day, and are friends with them. And yeah, Stephen, he's the husband, Jason actually is from Penticton as well. So
Oh, wow.
very small world in the hockey community. Absolutely. And it's nice when you have those connections, and, it runs deep.
You don't have to name any names, but do you have relationships with any of the players, or you really can't? You're really not allowed to, because that's something people always ask, like, "Oh, does he hang out with players?" He really
We've
can't.
never, surprisingly enough, lived in those neighborhoods. And, so I don't
Those
run in any of
contracts
those
are a
same
little
circles.
bit
And those
bigger.
girls are young, like players' wives. They're young. They're like my kids' age
Yeah.
or younger. So no, to answer that. But I'd like to.
That's funny.
Dee, I know you got to go. We'd love to have you
I
on.
just want to bring in one special guest here, Mr. Bags. He won't be talking much. I didn't give him a mouth, but I gave him a couple eyeballs.
Does he have eyebrows too?
Yeah,
Looks like he's got eyebrows.
He's angry.
Hello, Mr. Bags. It's nice to meet
Hey,
you.
Mr. Bag, nice to meet you.
Your wife is you got a good one. You got a good one for sure. So
We're gonna use that bag later.
What for like dog for dog
Don't
do?
ask. I don't want to ask.
We're
I
gonna
don't
have our
wanna
own dump and skate.
What a plug! What a plug! That's great.
Oh man, that's great. So,
D, we would love
thank
to have you on. We want to have you
Yeah.
on again.
Aw,
Maybe when Steve's out of town, where he's not rushing you, where we could just have one girl chat. I'd love
This ain't
maybe.
Steve, that's Mr. Bags.
Oh, sorry. You're right, Mr. Bags. So,
Abby,
maybe
you're
we could
so
do.
bad at this.
Maybe we can do one like Friday, right after Real Housewives, and we can do a Housewives chat.
Oh,
I
gosh.
love Bravo. And they have BravoCon here. We should do it from BravoCon.
A podcast.
I'll
Oh,
just get my wife to stand in for me, and you
Come
guys
on
can
down
do
to
it with
Vegas.
my wife.
BravoCon. I think it's in November.
Yeah, yeah.
oh yeah.
She can hear me. Do you want to go to BravoCon, Sarah? Oh, she just said no, but I don't think she knows what BravoCon is.
Oh, she's a
yeah.
Bravo chick. She knows. She has to know. But Dee, thank you so much for being on.
Thanks for
Definitely
having me.
want to have you on again. Tell your husband and your boys I said hi. Tell them to get off. I know they're on their phones, so they see my texts. I text them often, say, "Hey, good luck this season." I don't get a reply back from all of them, but I know they're on their phones. I know they are. So tell everybody I said hi. Good luck this coming season from in all the leagues, and thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything
Thanks so
else?
much. It was great having you. Your mic went all fuzzy and herky jerky. No, you're good, D. It was Abdu's mic went a little herky jerky, and I think he may have
Mine
froze
did.
a
I'm
little.
sorry.
Oh no, there he's back. Yeah, you're back.
Tried
No, it's
pulling
good.
on it.
Oh,
All good. So, D, thank you
I'm
very,
excited
very
about
much.
Mr. Bags. You want to bring the bag? I can mail you the bag if you want. It smell like him.
He's got his own bags. He's got his own.
Might get wet by the time it gets in.
This podcast is all of a sudden hit a different genre. Oh
Yeah.
man,
Isn't it late
D,
there?
it is.
it's late for me. It's like it's
It's-
8:30 here,
yeah,
so it's like
Abdu
4
should have
hours.
been to bed,
It's 4
yeah,
hours past my bedtime.
3 hours ago. So, oh man.
So
D, thank you very much for being on with us. We really appreciate your time and like love your insight on stuff. I know you probably got way more stories. And as Abdu said, we'd love to have you guys back on or have you back on and get to share some more stuff. Best of luck to your husband, to both your boys and their upcoming seasons and all. And to you as you get to sit around the house and hang out.
Watch it
Do whatever
all.
the heck,
Watch it.
do whatever you want to do. That's exactly right. So
Thank
D,
you.
we'll talk to you soon. Thanks again.
Thank
thank you, D. Love you, D. Bye. I'm sorry, my mic was going out. It's pouring out here, so
I know. I figured you were getting some crazy weather, so
yeah. I don't know if it's raining by you, but it was coming down pretty hard.
it's supposed to start cranked up again around 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Thanks a
so
lot. What is it? Helena? Hurricane?
Helene, who
I don't
knows?
know.
Whatever her name is.
Bitch.
That wasn't as good as the other ones, but that's okay.
Okay, well, she's still
I
a
kind of
bitch.
felt that one coming. So,
Oh, did you? I tried not to do
yeah,
it, but
no,
I just
it was a little
Whatever.
forced. I knew it was going to happen. You give a guy a compliment. Here we go.
whatever.
So that was
what a
really
great
good.
podcast.
D was
That was a
D
good
was yeah D was phenomenal. She was there was I had a lot more questions I wanted
Did.
to be able to ask too, but
Hey, we'll just
yeah,
have her on
just-
again. We'll have
yeah,
her on again.
Just very, very great story for Steve, obviously, in his movement through the ranks. And again, I know I said it while we were on there, but huge fan of him and getting to watch him and what he does. Have a tremendous amount of respect for referees in general, for what they sign up to do, but especially at the level that he plays. And then I'm excited to see his boys following in his footsteps moving through the ranks. It's really cool to listen to her talk about their respect for their dad and willingness to listen to him. That's such a good trait. I mean, that's they've got good parents, obviously, that they
Really
can,
good parents, yeah.
At the age of 20, or in their mid 20s, that they can be humble enough to listen to their dad. A lot of guys that are in their late 20s are still a bit arrogant and think that they know
Even in their late
everybody else.
40s, late 40s, almost 50s.
Yeah. Think that they know better than most everybody else around them. So really, really good. I mean, they've got a great example in their dad that can,
Good parents,
give them
good
tutelage.
kids. I mean,
That's right.
The kids
So-
reflect on the parents.
Yep. So
yeah.
really, really good. So
Good
very
stories.
cool. Very cool.
So
Guys, thanks a million for listening to us. I hope you guys enjoy this podcast, or hope you have enjoyed this podcast. Season is coming. The season is coming. We're only a few weeks away from, that's a lie.
We're a month and a
about
week away.
4 weeks away. Yeah.
But we'll start season 2 soon of the Dump and Skate.
When we start rolling through, we officially get ice, we will officially start season 2. And so be on the lookout for that. I hope you guys have enjoyed the guests. We've got more coming. We've got several waiting to get on. We're going to have some more college hockey folks on. We're going to have Seymour on again. She's had a trip here, had a pretty exciting, or exciting is probably the wrong word, but had an adventurous tournament. We want to get her input on that and just catch up with her. And so, yeah. Plus, looks like from her Instagram story, she's back chasing glizzy. So,
she went to Portillo's. She went to Portillo's.
She didn't call it a glizzy though. I don't think in her Instagram.
No,
maybe she did. I just didn't read it. It's kind of weird.
No, there was no glizzy, but
it's kind of weird. It's okay. Whatever, Seymour.
I was upset that. So, look, Portillo's. They're very famous for their chocolate cake shake. I love their chocolate cake shake. It's exactly that. It's a milkshake with chunks of chocolate cake in it. Well, they just announced that they did a salted caramel. They're doing a salted caramel one after, I don't know, like almost 70 years in the business. They're adding a new shake. They don't even have a strawberry one. It's just always chocolate cake shake. It's like, Kelly, you got to try it. You got to try it. She doesn't try it. She gets the piece of cake though, the salted caramel cake. She's like, it was too sweet. Not a fan. Couldn't eat the rest. And it killed me because she sent a picture and that cake looked so good. I'm like, I don't care if you didn't like it.
I don't think there's anything. I was gonna say, I don't think there's anything too sweet for you. Is there? Like, your food. You can eat just about anything.
Anything too sweet. I will eat. Yeah, I'll eat anything. I wouldn't eat a duty with corn in it or anything like that. But
great. I'm glad we're going there because I said sweet food. Like nothing's too sweet. Duties I would not imagine are sweet. So I'm glad that Yep. Awesome. Okay. Hey guys, thanks for listening. We're sorry that Abdu has turned us in the duty eating podcast. That was not really the intention of where we were going, but alas,
I'll think of something that I wouldn't. Liver.
Okay.
I'm not a good.
I said too sweet. I said, is there anything
I'm
too
just naming
sweet for you?
I'll think of something.
Now you're just naming stuff that you don't eat. I don't eat liver or poop either. Congratulations. There's probably a lot of people that don't eat liver and poop.
Well, liver is a thing.
I'm well aware that it's a thing. So are rutabagas, and they're disgusting.
Oh,
but we were talking about sweet food. Like, is there something that's too sweet where you wouldn't eat it? The answer is no. It's very clear. your mind has wandered so hard that you're talking about not eating duty and liver. So I got it. Seymour, we'll talk to you soon. Gee, my netties. Guys, thanks for listening. We appreciate you. If you haven't already, thumbs up, like, subscribe, follow, all of that good stuff. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Instagram, Facebook, and Abdu's brand new and favorite toy, TikTok. Go look us up. We appreciate you guys supporting us.
Share.
All of it. We'll see you soon. Peace.
Bye. I love you, my fondue boo.